All right, so now that we've written out our copy, it is time to actually create our personalizations at scale. Of course, you could just write all of these one by one and do all the research one by one, but why would you do that when tools like Clay exist, right? So the idea here is we want to build out these personalizations to write custom lines for us in the email at scale using AI. We're using a tool called Clay, and it might seem a little daunting at first because of all the different variables and columns and rows and information within the table. But when you break it down, it's actually quite simple. Clay does two things for Outbound that are really important to note. The first one is enriching data about companies or people. So if you put a list of companies in here, like I have from Apollo.io, you can find a ton of different data points on these companies. What data points can you find? You might ask. Well, if you know how to use Clay well enough, then you can find pretty much any publicly available data point on a person or company using the tool. But a lot of simple ones are available in this enrichment panel. So as you scroll down here, you can see that there is a ton of different data points that you can access here. And this is not even an exhaustive list. This is just some of the ones that Clay lists. If we X out of the enrichment panel, you can see here that I have a table with a couple of these enrichments already created. So, for example, if I wanted to enrich the company to find more data via their LinkedIn profile, Clay has an enrich company integration. When you click on one of these integrations, it's going to ask you for a company identifier. So this is where tools like Apollo make things really easy because Apollo is going to give you their LinkedIn profile. And now all you have to do is reference a column already in the Clay table into your enrichment thing. And once you click run, it will run. And as I already have done, it will output all of the company's information in this enrich company section. So we have all of these companies enriched using their LinkedIn URL. When I click in one, we have all of this data. Pretty much any piece of data about the company that's on their LinkedIn is in this section. So we have their description, where they were founded, their size, right? And a ton of enrichments that you can access. So this is the first thing you can do, right? Find data about companies using Clay, using the variety of enrichments that they have available. The second thing you can do with Clay is write personalizations for Outbound using AI. So instead of having to do each one individually, send each email individually, write each one out one by one by one, you can just have it all happen at one time using AI. So we get the data that we used during the enrichments. So we're enriching for specific data. Then we're getting that data, feeding it into an AI prompt, like a ChatGPT prompt, for example, and it'll give us an output. So a great example of this is the plant recommendation. All I did was I went to add enrichment, typed in OpenAI, and you'll see here we have this generate text section for ChatGPT. I clicked on that, and from there, I had a prompt just like I would for ChatGPT. So if you go to the actual website, it's the same exact thing. You're just going to ask it to do a specific thing for you. But the difference is you can reference entire columns. So for each one of these rows, it's going to differ based on what is in that section of each row. So for example, give me a plant from the following list of plants. I want the plant to either match the vibe or look good in this location. And then for the first row, it'll put Chicago, Illinois. The second, Cambridge, Massachusetts. You get the point, and it'll output something different for each one. Here's a list of plants. There's a list of plants that you can choose from. And for the result, just give me the plant name and nothing else. For example, jade succulent. So I ran this, and I was able to create this personalization. So now I can input this little section of text into each one of my emails without having to do it at a one-by-one basis manually. It's saving me hours and hours of time, and it's actually doing a better job than I probably could have in researching these plants because, frankly, I don't know much about them. So going back to the actual copy I wrote, the one I just showed you was the custom plant recommended. Oh, sorry, it was a plant suggestion that was found in the location of the company. However, there are a ton of other personalizations that we need to build out. So, for example, the reason as to why the flower is a reflection of the company's mission. So we can do that right here. We already have all the information about the company's mission because we asked OpenAI to visit the company's website and give me a description of the mission. So now they're able to get this mission. We can just feed it straight into another OpenAI prompt and pick a plant and tell me why it fits the company's mission. So you can see for this one, it said the Maranta Lemon Lime because its daily movements mirror the dynamic evolving nature of travel rewards and experiences, right? So it's like a very kind of woo-woo creative personalization, but nonetheless, all I had to do was get data I've previously found using one of Clay's enrichments, such as Claygen, an AI data scraper, and feed that into an OpenAI prompt. So at a high level, all we're doing is enriching data and using the data to personalize outbound. So that's really all we're doing. And you can see I did the same thing for the mission, which I just mentioned. We had Clay scrape the company's website or their LinkedIn URL and gave me a mission description. Going over to the personalization line, we just scraped as to which personalization the company fit and then output a first line based on that personalization. And then the final thing we have to do, of course, once we found all this data, is to actually go and find people to reach out to. So Clay has a really cool way to do this. All I have to do is click add column, add enrichment, find people, and we're going to go to find contacts at company. This is going to be how we find out which people to reach out to at a given company. And so of course we can contact them. We were going to do save results in a new table because we want all of the people to be in one easy to access table. We're going to put in the job title of the people we want to reach out to. So you can put anything here, founder, CEO, you can do sales, you can do automation, anything that would be in a person's job title is what I would put in here. We can filter by experience, bio, location. You get the point. We can limit the amount of results. And I've already done this for our companies. So we have a list right here of 344 people that match, if you recall, these job titles over at the companies in this list. So they're now imported from Clay. And with them comes all of that data we found in these personalizations beforehand. So remember all of this stuff where we had the plant recommendation and the company represented, and reason as to why they should pick the plant and the mission. That's all going right here. And this does it automatically. So once you click run, it'll find all this information. We can pop it right out into this new table. We also have this person's information from a baseline. So we have their name, their domain, their last name, their experience, and their company. And if we keep going, you can see here that we went and found the emails of every single person in this list. So how did we do this? Add enrichment. I just typed in work email. And right here, we have a work email enrichment that allows us to find the email of every single person in this table, or at least I'd say 90% of them is what the coverage generally is. And what it's doing is it's picking 6 data providers and searching all of these data providers for the person's work email. So their full name, their company domain, only 2 things that are required. We'll validate the email to make sure it's worth sending to. And boom, we now have ourselves a validated work email for every person. And we have all these personalizations and all of this information about the person in one table. So you might be asking yourself, I have all of this data now. I've done a bunch of Clay enrichments. I've played around with the tool. I've created the personalizations that are required to run an email campaign. What do I actually do to connect it to a tool that can send these for me at scale? Well, that's what's going to be done in this next video. So yeah, you'll see it then.